¿Ya le vamos? ¿Puedo empezar o qué? All right. Saludos a todos. Greetings to everybody. I just wanted to work with kids, plant some seeds, do some art in the garden, some music. I didn't imagine that it will become such an act of controversy that I would get involved in politics and policy. But here's a little story of how we participated in some change in National City and also how the Resident Leadership Academy has provided some of the tools. My name is Janice Luna Reynoso. I'm the Executive Director of Mundo Gardens. We're a nonprofit organization, a community garden and social justice organization here on Kumeyaay land, also known as San Diego, in the South Bay in National City. A little history about our organization and our first community garden, Joe's Pocket Farm. It is located in National City, where National City meets Southeast San Diego. As you can see here in this image, we have family and community coming together to break ground and to revitalize an already started garden. This garden has been around for over 30 years, counting back to when our neighbor Jose Nunez would garden the land. And this was before it was trendy, before, community gardens were glamorous, where he would work the land and include the youth and the community and then give away the food. So when we came into this space 10 years ago, and even prior to that, advocating with community leaders, we wanted to revitalize and continue the work in a place where access to food is much needed, a food desert, as you may say, in this area in National City in Southeast San Diego. So then we got an opportunity to partner with people in the city, in the community, our family, our neighboring barrios, to begin this project of Joe's Pocket Farm, which later became a nonprofit called Mundo Gardens. Joe's Pocket Farm, as you can see, will be the focus of this topic, and also how the Resident Leadership Academy came to play a role in our advocacy efforts and the development and the growth of our outreach and participation in the community. Here's a picture of my daughters, my inspiration. My girls are all adults now, and so this is a picture back when we were breaking ground and having one of the events. When we participated back in the Leadership Academy, myself and other residents in National City, aspiring leaders, got a chance to partake in the most comprehensive, inspiring curriculum that I have yet seen, and that is the Resident Leadership Academy. Thanks to Yenny Palomino and Dana Richardson, they created authentic, leadership materials and tools that we can use to navigate, to create change in the system, and in a sense, to become systems leaders. We graduated in 2011 from one of the first Resident Leadership Academies, as it was just a pilot program at that time. And we got an opportunity to use some of the stipends and the awards on our voted project, which our group voted Joe's Pocket Farm to receive some of those funds and award, also recognition. I was at that time voted the leader in the group, and then continued the mission forward on access to healthy foods, along with other improvements that we wanted to see in National City and surrounding areas as well. Here's a picture of Dana and Yenny when they received an award from the county. Community Health Improvement Partners received an award for their work, for their advocacy, for creating the Resident Leadership Academy. And it was a long road. It wasn't an easy process. Myself and other resident leaders from Southeast San Diego and other parts of San Diego were able to contribute to the advocacy to get the recognition for the Community Health Improvement Partners created by Yenny and Dana, to provide these tools for community members for years to come. And so when they finally received, that recognition and all the other things that they were working so hard for, they included me along with other people in the process. So it was really a moment where we knew we had made it, and we knew we had a strong connection that would be forever, not just in the Resident Leadership Academy, but in the bridging that occurs when you participate in such a program. That's one of the terms and one of the things that really resonated with me was the bridging opportunities, the social capital. When you can present all the data that's there, and it's all these valuable tools, then what? What do you do? Who do you depend on? You use and you work with people in your community to move that forward. You learn how to advocate and how to work with dignitaries, and also, bridge all of that together and have a final product or things that can grow into different forms of change or programming. Through the years, we were advocating throughout California. We went to Sacramento. We went to Oakland to present as well, to get the recognition and the funding that we needed to continue the Resident Leadership Academy curriculum and programming. I also had an opportunity to speak at UC Irvine, presenting this model of leadership, and it was just, again, another stepping stone for me to be able to use this tool of advocacy to create change and impact, and again, growing my relationship further with community health improvement partners and Dana and Yenny, who have always been supportive. Again, going back to the work that never stopped. So from 2009, 2010, we were active in revitalizing and creating that community garden in National City called Joe's Pocket Farm. It was the first and only community garden for quite a while, in a place where you're seeing, 6 out of 10 people, almost 60% of the community die prematurely from preventable chronic diseases. These diseases are caused by lack of access to healthy food, lack of access to exercise, meaning they don't have access to green space. Are you seeing the connection? Lack of access to clean air. Some of the problems that lead to the respiratory illnesses is that community, might be participating in smoking. But in our community, everybody's smoking because we're breathing the freeway air. So the more things that we need to benefit our health to offset all of these issues. Also, cancer, diabetes. So it's all connected, and it's also connected how you can provide an opportunity to mitigate these issues, to provide access to healthy food, to provide these exercise spaces. And so we were on a mission, we're still on a mission to continue to provide not only the green space, but opportunities to learn more on how you can be an advocate to do that. Here's another image of community, and this is throughout the year. So one of the images, has a student, my sister there, working the land while she's a student at UCLA, and then most recently, one of the community members and her daughter learning and, harvesting some of the white sage that is sacred to our community. We had opportunities for education and leadership, working with university students and the students from the school down the street to work together and to learn from what we were teaching them, and also they could learn and teach each other. And also we had an opportunity to learn from our participants and gardeners, volunteers. As you see, there's opportunity, whether it's in a formal setting where classes are being taught and programs are working out, or when we just have kids visiting the garden and, picking fruit off the mulberry tree, digging in the dirt, planting seeds for the first time. And so we've always used different modalities in our outreach and our education. We have, art. We're all artists and musicians as well that have participated in this programming. We have art. We have music at the garden. We're reading to the kids. We're teaching them about Indigenous history. And so, it's an opportunity to be able to share that with you as well in these images where you see all of this taking place. And what I always say about our form of teaching is that, we are living it, or we're trying to practice in a very organic way. We don't live our life in silos. You don't just like one thing and then change and shift to another thing. Usually if that happens, it's not going to work and it's not healthy. And so why would I do that when we're doing a social justice or a community garden program? It's very much estilo rancho, very culturally responsive, where everything is happening there. The food, we might be preparing it there. We might be reading to the kids in a moment. We might be, playing the guitar or painting with them. And so this has always been, a tradition for us at Joe's Pocket Farm and in our programming with Mundo Gardens. Again, providing opportunities for fitness or yoga, as you can see there, meditation, música, that's always been central to our practices. And so as students and advocates and learning how to move the the RLA vision forward, we also had an opportunity, myself and my partner, to take place in the Resident Leadership Academy Train the Trainer program. And so that gave us an opportunity to then become the teachers and facilitators of this Resident Leadership Academy that provided us with the tools and connections that we needed. So in a way, paying it forward, we were able to facilitate a workshop out of National City, and we're currently doing one out of Logan Heights. As I mentioned before, advocacy has been central to what I was able to extract or learn from the Resident Leadership Academy curriculum. It was something that has been key and continues to move the social justice and our public health initiatives forward, understanding how our communities are designed, understanding environmental racism, understanding how we can use this very concrete data in order to advocate and to draw a very clear line on that we understand how our communities, aren't working because they were designed that way, and then how we have a vision and we're more than willing our ideas and strategies to work with leadership in order to make that happen. So throughout the years, we have been approached by community members. One example is when on the west side of National City. So this is on a different side of where the first garden I mentioned. On the west side, there also is a food desert. It's still National City. They don't have access to healthy food. The community is, has high rates of asthma in that area. And so they had been wanting a community garden. And so we stepped up, where other people didn't have the budget or didn't have the capacity or interest, we stepped up as volunteers, as we had been doing for Joe's Pocket Farm. And so that fight, has been many years going, and finally we were able to work with in communicating this to you. And so Joe's Pocket Farm had been, es porque muevo la mano mucho, you can go back. Joe's Pocket Farm had been, okay. Joe's Pocket Farm had been on a standstill in a sense as far as getting official permission with the city. We had communication prior to 2009, had worked with the city planner in 2010, and really maintained that we called Joe's Pocket Farm, that the city even called Joe's Pocket Farm. And so as we're working to maintain or to gain official stewardship of Joe's Pocket Farm, the conversation came up in City Hall when we were also advocating to be the future stewards of another future community garden. The issue with the miscommunication with City Hall leadership or city members was that some of them, said that they had no knowledge of this community garden. And there was a concern about why or how we're operating this. As you can see, the story tells itself. We've been working on it. We want to provide a green space for community. And so the opportunity arose where we could then finally become official stewards with official fiscal sponsorship, because we did not have nonprofit status at that time. So what happened was, some of the city council members were concerned and said, this is not a good site. It's a dump site, or we are afraid that the soil isn't good, as in other places in National City. And so there was an order to test the soil. The soil was tested. The soil came back with some toxins in it. And so the remedy to that was going to be to dig deep, to old pesticide type chemicals that might have been used back in the 50s when this was indeed ranch land. Actually, this area of National City is known as Rancho de la Nación. So there's a problem here, right? And there's also a solution. And so with our attorneys, with Mundo Gardens attorneys, with the attorney of the city's attorneys, we decided, okay, we're going to build raised beds. We're going to make sure we have the insurance. We're going to get our nonprofit status, all our ducks in a row, and continue commentary to the news channel stating that we were operating on toxic land. The county came down on us, came down on the city actually, and forced us off and closed Joe's Pocket Farm. So all our current agreements, all of the work that we have been doing over the years, almost a decade, had come to a standstill, and we had to close the garden, or the city had to be forced to close the garden due to county orders. Again, we're trying to find solutions. We can do this, si se puede. And so we had communication with the county and the city again, attorneys, where they're saying that we can indeed, provide some type of remediation. We propose phytoremediation or bioremediation done with plants. It would take a little bit longer, but it's all natural and it could then heal the land. We provided reports from community leaders and biologists, people that work with mushrooms and psyllium to be able to provide this form of remediation. Wrote out a report with students from the university and their lab, and then also, involved the city's input or wanted to keep them up to date on what we were proposing. The County of San Diego did have some type of program where they're willing to work with remediation and be lenient on that process, or at least give it a look. Again, time passed. We had the soil retested. We still haven't heard back to see where exactly, these toxins are found in what area, so that we don't assume that it's in the whole area. As I was saying, we had a success in getting the community garden to the west side, and then lo and behold, as we're waiting to hear back from the city, we got word that the city was actually planning to sell Joe's Pocket Farm. And so again, we put on our advocacy hat, worked with community members. The community was very upset to hear about, the city possibly selling this land. If the city sells the land, it doesn't guarantee that the land will be remediated. It doesn't guarantee that, the soil will then get cleaned up. It could sit there. And so we wanted to know, first of all, if this was true. Second, are we able to then buy it, or some consideration will be taken into place for us being caretakers for this land? And so we're reaching out to the city manager, to the current mayor, to council members, and we're still waiting to hear back on exactly what's going to happen with Joe's Pocket Farm. In the meantime, the community wasn't waiting. We talked to the neighbors. People came together, people that have been involved with Joe's Pocket Farm over the years, a lot of allies, and in protest of what was happening here and asking for transparency. They were writing to the city, they were being vocal, and here we are still waiting to hear back. Here's some images of community coming together in front of one of the city buildings on a fine day in National City. Again, it's not possible with continue to grow in your advocacy and on the things that you see that can be worked on. This is an image of myself and my daughter working on a campaign with another nonprofit we're part of, Mothers Out Front. And again, bringing things back full circle with Dana and Yenny and a new group of residents that are now ready to celebrate in the next month their new community garden. The work continues. This is a snapshot of, many of our projects. This is most of them. I think I still need to add a couple there. And, just seeing that everything is everything, that we can create change, we can be creative, value your social capital, your relationships, be able to bridge these opportunities and opportunities to grow, to educate yourself and community so that we can all work together to create positive change. Here's another little garden just right outside one of our apartments out in National City. So, it could be the smallest act when you plant a seed, and it'll create that change. And again, here's Joe's Pocket Farm, a view from the outside before it got fenced in. Save Joe's Pocket Farm. Thank you very much.